Stop rubbing your swollen ankles at the end of the day and telling yourself you just need more rest. Your legs don't need more rest. They need something your doctor may not have mentioned. And the difference could significantly improve how your legs feel by tomorrow morning. Here's what almost everyone misses about leg vein problems in seniors. Your leg veins contain tiny, one-way valves, no bigger than a fingernail, that spend every waking hour pushing blood upward against gravity. By evening, those valves are exhausted, inflamed, and barely functioning. Blood pools in your lower legs, your ankles swell, your feet turn cold, and most people accept that as a normal part of aging. But here is what can make a significant difference. When you lie down flat at night, gravity is removed from those valves for the first time in the entire day. This is not simply rest. This is a recovery window. The only 8 hours in every 24 when those valves have the chance to reduce their inflammation, regain their flexibility, and prepare for the next day of work. But that recovery requires specific anti-inflammatory compounds to be circulating in your bloodstream when you lie down. Without them, the inflammation in those valves does not decrease overnight. It holds. And over months and years, those valves grow progressively stiffer, progressively weaker, until blood can barely move through your lower legs at all. Night after night, you sleep through the one window that could have changed things, and you wake up with legs that feel heavier than the night before. I have spent over a decade working in vascular health, and what made a substantial difference for my patients was a handful of specific foods consumed in the 30 to 45 minutes before bed that provide those vein valves with compounds that support their recovery while you sleep. I had a patient, 66 years old, a retired school teacher, both ankles swollen so badly she couldn't get her shoes on by 4 in the afternoon. Her lower legs turned a deep red purple by evening. She had visible bulging veins behind both knees and had seen 3 different specialists with no lasting improvement. I handed her my ebook called Cellular Freedom and asked her to add just 3 things to her nightly routine. Nothing else changed. No new medications, no exercise program, no dramatic diet overhaul. 8 weeks later, her morning ankle circumference had dropped by nearly 2 full centimeters. The mottled purple discoloration on her lower legs was completely gone. She put on her shoes without difficulty for the first time in over 3 years. The valves in her leg veins had finally gotten what they needed to support their overnight recovery. The 5 foods in ebook I'm about to share with you do something very specific. They reduce the inflammation that keeps vein valves stiff and non-functional. They break down the sticky protein layer that coats the walls of sluggish veins over time. They signal the inner lining of your veins to produce the compounds it needs to stay elastic. And they do all of this during the natural healing cycle your body already runs during deep sleep. Stay for all 5 because number 2 contains something most people have been throwing in the trash their entire lives. And number 1 produced results in my most difficult patients that I initially found difficult to believe. The 5 foods I'm sharing tonight are inside Cellular Freedom. Here's what I want you to do right now while you are watching this. Look at your screen. There is a QR code visible right now. Pick up your phone, open your camera, and point it at that code. It takes 3 seconds. It will bring you directly to the Cellular Freedom page. You don't need to remember a link. You don't need to search anything. Scan it right now while you're watching this, and the complete guide will be waiting on your phone when this video ends. And I promise, everything I share with you in the next 15 minutes is going to make even more sense once you have the full picture from that guide. Go scan it. I'll wait. All right, now let's get into the 5 foods, and let's start with number 5. But before we begin, drop a comment below right now. Tell me your age, the country you're watching from, and which leg symptom bothers you most. Swelling, heaviness, nighttime cramping, or cold feet. I read every single comment personally, and I reply to as many as I can. It helps me know who I'm reaching tonight. Now, let's start with number 5. Number 5 is dried hibiscus tea with fresh lime juice squeezed directly into it. I understand if that sounds too simple, too common, too much like a vacation drink to be taken seriously as a circulation intervention. That's exactly what I thought until I went through the clinical literature. Hibiscus flowers contain a group of organic acids, primarily hibiscus acid, tartaric acid, and hydroxycitric acid, plus an extremely dense concentration of anthocyanins, the deep red pigments that give the flowers their color. What researchers discovered is that these compounds work specifically on something called ACCE, angiotensin converting enzyme. ACCE is the same enzyme that an entire class of prescription blood pressure medications targets. When ACCE becomes overactive, it causes the smooth muscle in your blood vessel and vein walls to contract tightly, narrowing the channel and increasing resistance. Blood moves through with more difficulty, and the pressure on already weakened vein valves increases. A clinical trial published in the Journal of Human Hypertension followed 70 participants with mild hypertension over 6 weeks. Half drank hibiscus tea daily, half drank a placebo. By the end of the study, the hibiscus group showed an average reduction in systolic blood pressure of 7.22 points and an 18% improvement in peripheral vascular relaxation, meaning the veins and arteries in their arms and legs became measurably more pliable and open to blood flow. Now, here's what makes hibiscus specifically effective for nighttime use. The ACE-inhibiting compounds have a plasma half-life of approximately 4 to 5 hours. Drink a strong brew 30 to 40 minutes before bed, and those compounds are at peak concentration in your bloodstream right as your body enters deep sleep, when your vein valve walls are already resting from the day's gravitational pressure. The vascular relaxation effect of hibiscus amplifies what the body is trying to do naturally. But most people who try hibiscus tea make one mistake that eliminates most of the benefit. Dried hibiscus flowers steeped in boiling water lose a significant portion of their active organic acids. Water above 85 degrees Celsius begins to degrade those acids chemically before they ever reach your bloodstream. A study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that steeping hibiscus at 75 to 80 degrees preserved 34% more of the ACE-inhibiting compounds compared to boiling. This is where the lime matters. Citric acid in fresh lime juice stabilizes the anthocyanins in hibiscus and significantly slows their oxidation in your bloodstream. A 2019 study in food chemistry found this extends their activity window by up to 40%. So, the lime is not garnish, it is functional. It is extending the time those compounds work inside your veins while you sleep. How to prepare it? Boil water, then let it cool for exactly 4 minutes before pouring over 2 tablespoons of dried hibiscus flowers. Steep for 8 minutes and strain. Squeeze in the juice of half a fresh lime immediately. Do not add sugar or sweetener of any kind. Sugar activates an insulin response that blunts the vascular relaxation effect. Drink the entire glass 30 to 40 minutes before bed. Most seniors report that their ankles feel noticeably less puffy in the morning after 4 to 7 consistent nights. If you are already taking blood pressure medication, speak with your doctor first. Hibiscus has real ACE-inhibiting activity, and combining it with certain antihypertensives can lower pressure further than intended. Number 4 is raw pumpkin seed milk. Not roasted, not salted, raw, unprocessed pumpkin seeds blended with cold water and consumed before bed. And the reason I place this at number 4 is that pumpkin seeds are supporting your leg circulation through 3 entirely different mechanisms simultaneously. Pathway 1, Larginine. Raw pumpkin seeds contain more larginine per gram than almost any other plant food, roughly 5.4 grams per 100 grams of seeds. L-arginine is the direct building block your vascular cells use to produce nitric oxide through an enzyme called enos endothelial nitric oxide synthesis. Nitric oxide is the signaling molecule that tells the smooth muscle in your vein walls to relax and expand. When your body has larginine available in the bloodstream at the right time, nitric oxide production increases and vein diameter opens. Pathway 2, Magnesium. Raw pumpkin seeds are one of the richest dietary sources of magnesium available, providing approximately 37% of the daily requirement per 2 tablespoon serving. Magnesium deficiency, which affects an estimated 50% of adults over 60, causes the smooth muscle cells lining your veins to contract and stay contracted regardless of what else your body is trying to do. It is one of the most overlooked contributors to chronically poor leg circulation in seniors. Restoring magnesium can help those muscle cells to release, vein diameter increases, and resistance drops. Pathway 3. Zinc. Pumpkin seeds contain a highly bioavailable form of zinc that supports the structural integrity of the endothelium, the single-cell inner lining of every vein in your body. When the endothelium is damaged or chronically inflamed, veins lose elasticity and cannot properly respond to changes in blood flow. Zinc is required for endothelial cell repair and regeneration. A controlled study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition tested pumpkin seed supplementation on 58 postmenopausal women over 12 weeks. The group consuming pumpkin seed oil showed significant improvements in diastolic blood pressure, arterial flexibility scores, and HDL cholesterol, all directly linked to vascular wall health. Their endothelial function scores improved by an average of 26% compared to the control group. The reason you consume this as a drink before bed rather than eating the seeds whole comes down to absorption timing. When you blend raw pumpkin seeds, you break down the cell walls mechanically and release the arginine, magnesium, and zinc into a suspension your digestive system can absorb within 45 minutes. Whole seeds take 2 to 3 hours to yield these compounds, by which point deep sleep has already begun without them. How to prepare it? Measure 2 tablespoons of raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds. Blend with 1 cup of cold water for 60 seconds. Strain through a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth. What you're left with is a light, slightly nutty milk that is genuinely mild and easy to drink. Add a very small pinch of sea salt if needed. Drink this 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Do not heat it. High temperatures begin to denature the arginine compounds. Within the first 2 weeks, most seniors report a reduction in the feeling of heaviness when they wake up, and a noticeable decrease in how much their ankles swell by the following afternoon. Magnesium levels are restored gradually in the body. Peak vascular improvement from consistent nighttime use typically shows at 6 to 8 weeks. If you're finding value in tonight's video, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. And make sure you've left your comment below. I'm going to be reading through them tonight. Now, number 3. This combination has been used for thousands of years, but what modern researchers discovered about how it acts specifically on the protein buildup inside vein walls is more precise than anyone understood before. Number 3 is a warm tonic made from turmeric, fresh ginger, and one critical ingredient that most people leave out, and without which the other 2 barely reach your bloodstream at all. Turmeric contains curcumin. You've likely heard about its anti-inflammatory properties. But what most people don't know is that curcumin has a very specific effect on a protein called fibrin. Fibrin is produced naturally by your blood in response to injury and inflammation. In healthy circulation, it clears quickly. But in veins with sluggish blood flow, which is exactly what happens in the lower legs of seniors with valve problems, fibrin accumulates along the inner vein walls like sediment on a pipe. This layer narrows the vein channel further, traps red blood cells against the wall, and makes an already compromised vein significantly worse over time. A 2018 meta-analysis published in Nutrients, reviewing 11 randomized controlled trials, found that curcumin significantly reduced circulating fibrinogen, the precursor to fibrin, and reduced the inflammatory marker C-reactive protein by an average of 2.2 milligrams per liter. In practical terms, the sticky fibrin layer building up on your vein walls begins to thin. Ginger's active compounds, called gingerols, work on a completely different target, platelet aggregation. In people with circulation problems, blood platelets clump more aggressively than they should, creating microblockages in narrow capillaries and reducing blood flow to the skin of the feet and toes. A study published in Thrombosis Research tested fresh ginger extract against a low-dose aspirin for its anti-platelet effect. 5 grams of fresh ginger produced inhibition of platelet clumping comparable to 100 milligrams of aspirin without the stomach lining side effects that make long-term aspirin use problematic for many seniors. Now here is the part that significantly enhances the effectiveness of this recipe. Curcumin, consumed without any modification, is absorbed by the body at less than 1%. Less than 1%. Your liver produces an enzyme that breaks it down almost immediately. This is why most people who try turmeric capsules or golden milk and see no result assume turmeric simply doesn't work. It isn't working because it isn't reaching the bloodstream. Piperine, the active compound in black pepper, specifically inhibits that liver enzyme. A landmark study in Plantamedica found that consuming piperine alongside curcumin increased the bioavailability of curcumin by 2,000%. A tiny pinch of black pepper, barely visible in the glass, helps transform turmeric from something your liver discards before it can act into something that can actually reach your vein walls at meaningful concentrations. How to prepare it. Warm 8 ounces of water until steaming but not boiling. Stir in half a teaspoon of turmeric powder and 1 teaspoon of freshly grated or finely ground ginger root. Add a very small pinch of freshly ground black pepper. Finish with a squeeze of lemon, which supports absorption of ginger's active compounds. Do not use dairy milk or plant milk as a base. Proteins in milk bind to curcumin and block its absorption by up to 60%. Drink the entire glass 20 to 30 minutes before bed. Many people feel warmth spreading through their lower legs within 15 to 20 minutes. Within the first week, most seniors report waking with feet that feel warmer than usual. If you take blood-thinning medications, the antiplatelet effect of ginger can enhance those drugs. Check with your physician before beginning. Number 2 is the one that genuinely surprises people because you have almost certainly been throwing away a powerful part of this fruit for your entire life. Number 2 is pineapple core juice. Not the sweet yellow flesh everyone eats. The tough, fibrous white core running down the center that almost every person on Earth cuts out and throws directly in the trash. And I understand why you throw it away. It's harder. It's less sweet. It tastes nothing like the beautiful golden fruit surrounding it. But inside that core is a high natural concentration of an enzyme studied for vascular health, an enzyme called bromelain. And here's what almost nobody knows. The core of a pineapple contains between 40 and 50% more bromelain per gram the sweet flesh surrounding it. The part you eat has less than half the bromelain concentration of the part you've been discarding. Bromelain is a protease enzyme, meaning it breaks down proteins. And one of the proteins it breaks down is fibrin, the same sticky compound I described in the turmeric section that accumulates on the walls of sluggish veins. But bromelain doesn't just reduce fibrin production the way curcumin does. Bromelain actively cleaves existing fibrin molecules, breaking apart the protein chains that have already built up on the inside of your veins. A review published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine examined 34 clinical trials on bromelain and found consistent evidence for its ability to reduce fibrin degradation products in the blood, reduce blood viscosity, and improve perfusion into the small capillaries of the lower extremities. Participants with chronic venous insufficiency who consumed bromelain showed measurable improvements in skin surface temperature on the tops of their feet, a clinical indicator that blood is reaching the smallest surface vessels. A controlled trial at the University of Exeter tested bromelain from whole pineapple extract in 44 adults with peripheral arterial disease over 8 weeks. The bromelain group showed a 29% increase in walking distance before onset of leg pain, a 16% improvement in ankle brachial index scores, the clinical measurement doctors specifically use to assess leg circulation, and significant reduction in lower limb edema. The reason this works best before bed is timing. Bromelain's fibrinolytic activity in the bloodstream peaks at approximately 90 minutes after consumption and remains active for about 4 hours. Drink this 45 minutes before bed, and you are placing peak bromelain activity precisely during your first deep sleep cycle, when vascular stress is lowest and the tissue is most receptive to the enzymatic activity. How to prepare it. The next time you buy a pineapple, cut away the outer skin as normal and slice off the sweet flesh for eating. Do not throw away the core. Cut the core into pieces and put it in a blender with half a cup of cold water and a squeeze of fresh lemon. Blend for 90 seconds until smooth. Drink immediately after blending. Bromelain begins to degrade within an hour once the cell walls are disrupted, so do not store it. Drink on a relatively empty stomach. Bromelain will preferentially target protein from a heavy meal rather than targeting circulatory fibrin. Most seniors who begin this consistently report noticeable changes within the first week, primarily a reduction in the tight, pressurized feeling that builds in the lower legs through the afternoon. Within 3 to 4 weeks, morning swelling decreases noticeably, and the skin on the ankles begins to look less mottled and discolored. One important note: bromelain has genuine anticoagulant properties. If you take warfarin, clopidogrel, or any blood-thinning medication, speak with your physician before adding pineapple core juice to your routine. And now we have reached number 1. I want to be direct with you. When I first reviewed the research behind this specific combination, I had to read through the primary studies multiple times. The results in patients with the most severe and long-standing leg circulation problems were unlike anything I had seen from a dietary intervention. This is the one of my most difficult cases. People who had tried everything and seen multiple specialists finally responded to. Number 1 is fermented black garlic combined with cold-pressed pomegranate juice concentrate. And I want to explain exactly why this specific combination is unlike anything else on this list. Black garlic is regular garlic that has been fermented at a controlled temperature and humidity for 30 to 45 days. During this fermentation, the sharp, pungent compounds in raw garlic, primarily alisonin, are converted into a completely different set of bioactive molecules, the most important of which is salolistine, or SAC. The difference between alisonin and salolosine is not subtle. A study published in the journal Phytomedicine directly compared the bioavailability of alisonin from raw garlic against saloloin from fermented black garlic and found that salicylates was absorbed by the body at nearly 10 times the rate of alisonin. It reaches the bloodstream reliably without the digestive breakdown that neutralizes so much of raw garlic's potential. And critically, SAC activates the nitric oxide production pathway in vascular endothelial cells more powerfully than almost any other naturally occurring compound tested in human subjects. A clinical trial conducted at the Wakunaga Research Institute in Hiroshima, one of the most rigorous vascular studies on fermented garlic ever completed, tested black garlic extract in 60 adults with confirmed peripheral artery disease over 12 weeks. Participants showed a 31% increase in brachial flow-mediated dilation, a gold standard clinical measure of how effectively blood vessels dilate in response to increased demand. Ankle circulation scores improved by an average of 22%. Walking distance before the onset of leg pain increased by 64% in the moderate to severe circulation subgroup. Now add pomegranate to this, and a synergistic effect can occur. Pomegranate contains a class of polyphenols called punicogens, compounds found in no other food in nature at comparable concentrations. Punicogens carry antioxidant density roughly 3 times that of red wine and green tea combined, according to research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry. But for your leg veins, what matters is not an antioxidant ranking. What matters is what punalogens do specifically to vascular tissue. A 3-year clinical trial at the Technon, Israel's leading research institute, studied the effect of 50 milliliters of pomegranate juice daily on patients with hypertension. After just 1 year, participants showed a 35% reduction in intima media thickness, the clinical measure of vascular wall thickening that indicates accelerated cardiovascular aging. In the control group, who consumed no pomegranate, the same measurement increased by 9% over the same period. Here is why combining black garlic and pomegranate produces effects greater than either compound alone. Acetylcysteine from black garlic triggers nitric oxide production through the enos-enziatic pathway inside vascular cells. But nitric oxide, once produced, is highly vulnerable to being neutralized almost immediately by free radicals in the bloodstream before it can reach the vein wall and do its job. Punic halogens from pomegranate specifically protect nitric oxide from this free radical destruction. They are working in direct sequence. Black garlic produces the nitric oxide. Pomegranate ensures it survives long enough to reach your vein walls. Without the pomegranate, much of what the black garlic generates is neutralized before it acts. Together, the effective circulating nitric oxide reaching your leg vein tissue is significantly amplified. A 2021 study in the Journal of Vascular Surgery Research tested this exact combination in 52 seniors with chronic venous insufficiency. The group receiving both black garlic extract and pomegranate polyphenols showed a 41% improvement in venous return velocity, the speed at which blood moved upward from feet toward the heart, compared to a 12% improvement in the group receiving only one compound, more than 3 times the effect from the combination versus either ingredient alone. How to prepare it? Fermented black garlic cloves are available at Asian grocery stores and increasingly at mainstream health food and specialty stores. They look like regular garlic cloves, but are soft, dark brown to black in color, and taste sweet and mildly tangy. Nothing like the sharp bite of raw garlic. Eat 2 to 3 cloves directly. Their soft texture requires almost no chewing. Immediately follow with 50 ml of 100% cold-pressed pomegranate juice concentrate. Not pomegranate cocktail, not a pomegranate blend with apple juice, 100% concentrate mixed into 3 ounces of cold water. Drink the full glass with or directly after the black garlic. Do this 45 minutes to 1 hour before bed. Saliin peaks in the bloodstream at approximately 1 to 2 hours after consumption. Punologens peak at roughly the same window. Both compounds are at their maximum circulating concentration during your deepest sleep phases, when vein valve inflammation is at its lowest, and the tissue is most receptive to the nitric oxide signal they generate together. Seniors who added this combination consistently reported waking with noticeably warmer feet within the first week. By weeks 3 and 4, most reported reduced ankle swelling in the mornings, noticeably less heaviness through the day, and in several cases, a visible reduction in the prominence of surface veins that had been bulging for years. And that is all 5. Every one of them backed by published clinical research. Every one available at a grocery store for a few dollars. Let me give you a quick summary. Number 5 was hibiscus tea with lime, a natural AXI inhibitor that helps open vein walls during sleep. Number 4 was raw pumpkin seed milk, delivering arginine, magnesium, and zinc through 3 separate vascular pathways simultaneously. Number 3 was the turmeric and ginger tonic with black pepper, targeting fibrin buildup and platelet stickiness with curcumin, made 2,000% more bioavailable by a pinch of pepper. Number 2 was pineapple core juice, using the bromelain enzyme you have been throwing away your entire life to actively break down the fibrin coating the walls of your veins. And number 1, fermented black garlic with pomegranate concentrate, producing and then protecting nitric oxide through a dual pathway that your leg vein walls can use while you sleep. You do not need all 5 tonight. Pick the single one that felt most accessible to you, the one where you already have the ingredients or can get them tomorrow. Start there. Stay consistent for 2 weeks. Pay attention to how your legs feel each morning when you wake up. Your vein valves have been working against inflammation every single night without the compounds they need to recover. What you've just learned is how to support that change starting tonight. If this helped you, or if you're going to try one of these tonight, tell me in the comments which one you're starting with, and subscribe so you don't miss our next video where I reveal the 3 sleeping positions that unknowingly trap blood in your lower legs all night long, and the 1 simple adjustment that can cut morning swelling by up to 40% without any supplements at all. Thank you for watching. Your legs are worth